In this video, I want to talk about query acceleration for OneLake shortcuts in real-time intelligence. And knowing what query acceleration is in real-time intelligence is important for the DP-700 exam. It's part of the ingest and transform streaming data section. And it's important to know not only what it is, but also when to use it and when not. There's some things you need to have to be able to do this. You need to have a workspace with a fabric capacity, because we're talking about Microsoft Fabric. And in that workspace, you need to have the role of admin, contributor, or member. And you need to have the right OneLake security permissions on the shortcut itself. And I will put the documentation for that in the description. So let's have a look into that. So when you create a OneLake shortcut inside of an Eventhouse, Fabric points to data that lives somewhere else, like a lakehouse or an external storage. So no data really gets copied because it's a shortcut. The downside of that is that every time you run a query, Fabric has to go and fetch that data from storage. And it makes it a little bit slow. And especially when we are looking at real-time data, we don't want that to be slow. So query acceleration fixes that because it's caching data inside the Eventhouse in a high-performance storage. So the queries that run hit that cache instead of the remote storage, and that speeds everything up. But of course, there's a trade-off. You get this increase in speed, but it costs more. So you really need to be sure when to use it and when you maybe don't need it. So let's have a look how to enable it. So in Fabric, I browse to my KQL database, I click on New, and there you see the option OneLake shortcut. So I want to click on that. So what I did is I went to my KQL database, I clicked on New, and I select OneLake shortcut. So here I pick my data source, I expand the tables, and I select the table that I want to connect to. And the moment you do that, you see the acceleration toggle. And by default, it's off. And this means you get a standard shortcut. If we switch it on and click on create, the query acceleration is enabled. And this does not only work with new shortcuts. If you have an existing shortcut and you want to accelerate it, you can do that too. Just browse to the shortcut and update the settings from there. Because if you look at your shortcut and you click on the three dots, you see something that's called data policies. And if you open data policies, you will see the options you have. So you will see the toggle and also how many days it should be cached. So now we know what it is and where we can find it. But of course, there's the question when to use which. Use a standard shortcut when you just need occasional access to the data, like a one-off query, a report that doesn't have to run very fast, something that you require like a few times a month, because the standard shortcut means no extra cost, no extra setup. It is a safe option. And we are going to use query acceleration when performance really matters. The rule of thumb is quite simple. If you run something frequently and performance is very important, needs to be fast, use query acceleration. If you are querying occasionally and cost matters, which it most of the time does, use the standard shortcut. So the decision comes down, how often is the data queried and how fast does it need to be for us to work. I hope this helps and good luck with your exam.